Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Northwest Oklahoma Sports Show. I'm your host, Nick Friesen, current sports writer at the Enid News and Eagle. This episode of the Northwest Oklahoma Sports Show is brought to you by Kinley's Tanning and Boutique in Enid. From custom game day tees and boutique fashion to tanning and red light therapy, they've got everything you need to look good and feel even better. Stop by 2108 West Willow Road or follow online at kinleyscreations.com. Make sure you do what you usually do on Spotify and YouTube on the Northwest Oklahoma Sports Show. On YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on that bell for notifications so you never miss a video or a podcast. And then on Spotify, make sure you're following the page Northwest Oklahoma Sports Show so you never miss a video or podcast on there as well. Alrighty, we have a fun show planned ahead for you, so let's get right into Northwest Oklahoma Sports. Welcome back to another edition of the Northwest Oklahoma Sports Show. My name is Nick Friesen, current sports writer at the Enid News and Eagle, and another jam-packed episode here for y'all on this new edition of the sports show. So we'll get right to this. Obviously, what we're going to start with is high school football. Start with semifinals for all the Northwest Oklahoma sports teams that were in it. We still had 5 remaining. I think it was Pond Creek, O'Keene, Cherokee, Timberlake, and Medford. That was in our area. Obviously, Sealing and Laverne were in it for Northwest Oklahoma, but in our area, it was just those 5 teams of Pond Creek, O'Keene, Medford, Timberlake, and Cherokee. So we'll stick with those 5 teams. I'll give my thoughts on the other games as well. So we'll dive right into it right now. We'll start with the night game I covered on Friday, and that was Timberlake and Medford. Obviously, I think that was just a big matchup in itself of just 2 teams in Northwest Oklahoma that had aspirations early in the year to make it to the state title game. And then once the playoff bracket came out for Class C and you saw that this could be a semifinal matchup if everything played right, it was going to be awesome. And that's what it was on Friday. And we'll start with this. Medford takes the 72-40 win over Timberlake on Friday. Couple things from this. Medford quarterback Cash Kelly, have yourself a game, man. He might probably be a Medford legend by now. 7 total touchdowns in the contest, over 190 rushing yards in the game, 2 touchdowns in the air, over 60 passing yards on just 4 attempts. So made them on, I think it's 3 or 4 for over 60 yards and 2 touchdowns. So made the most of his opportunities there in the passing game as well. Granted, one of them was like a jump ball that I can't remember who came down with it. I think it was Kingston Edwards. Let me see. Kingston Edwards. Yeah, he came down with that jump ball in the end zone in the second quarter right before the half to take that. I think it was 36-14 when they got that touchdown. That was the halftime score and everything. But Medford's Cash Kelly, he was dominant in the contest. And it seemed like, get a couple big runs from Trent Lohman, Ethan Gonzalez, Kingston Edwards. But when Cash Kelly ran the ball, it was chunk play after chunk play after chunk play. 20-yard run here, 15-yard run here, 25-yard run there. Touchdown runs of, with him. Touchdown runs of 5, 10, 40-yard touchdown run, 3-yard touchdown run. And his big one was the 40-yard touchdown run in the contest. But he had several big other chunk plays in the contest that got him into the red zone so that they can capitalize on the touchdowns in the red zone. So he was dominant, and he was dominant from start to finish. And so here's a clip of head coach Blake Lamley talking about Cash Kelly and just kind of his overall, demeanor and kind of just his overall athletic ability and kind of how he just uses that athletic ability to success against Timberlake and then really just throughout the season.
Cash Kelly, 7 touchdowns tonight.
So he had 7. Holy cow.
I'll ask you this. What does that just say about his dynamic threat as a player? Just every game, he could go for 4 or 5 touchdowns and keep going, and no matter what happens in the game.
Yeah, he's big. For one thing, he's bigger than people think. He's 6'2", and he's rangy, and he's just a winner. He's a competitor, man. He's definitely the leader of what we do. So really, really, really proud of him.
So it's like Coach Lamley said. I mean, Catch Kelly's a leader. He's a competitor, and he did whatever it took to get Medford to the state title game on Friday. So that was a big time effort by Catch Kelly. I was really impressed by just, Timberlake tried to do everything with him, and I feel like Timberlake didn't have an answer for him, really. And when you have a dynamic player like that and just a competitor like Catch Kelly, there's really not probably an answer. You just got to contain him somehow, and he couldn't be contained, and so he was the dominant threat. And Medford used him to their advantage and got the win over Timberlake. Another thing from here, there's one key, just instance in the game between, I think it was 2 minutes left in the first quarter to throughout the second quarter, and really a part of the third quarter as well. Really from late first quarter to my key point here is from late first quarter to all of the second quarter. Medford scored 28 unanswered points between those two quarters. And then also another point there, Timberlake was stopped 4 straight times on fourth down. So the Medford defense was playing complementary football with the Medford offense. And I think another thing from that too is when Medford got the ball back on offense, they had, I wouldn't say like slow, methodical drives, but it just felt like, they would have this chunk play, and then when they had the chunk play, they'd take some time off the clock and wouldn't snap the ball with like 5 or 10 seconds left on the play clock. So I think, it was kind of a slow drive, but they were just chewing up some time because they know how dangerous it could be if they scored right away and this gave the ball back to Timberlake, because Timberlake's offense did get going third quarter and fourth quarter, and they're starting to connect on some passing plays and some runs and everything. But during the late first quarter to throughout the second quarter, it was kind of just Medford scoring 28 unanswered, and then also holding Timberlake to 4 straight fourth downs. And then even in the third quarter, it kind of just, 28 unanswered right then. But then the third quarter, it turned into 44 unanswered. But the Medford scoring the first 2 touchdowns in the third quarter, it took a big lead early in the third quarter. So, I mean, it was just dominant between really the late first quarter to midway through the third quarter for Medford, stopping Timberlake on several fourth downs, and then on top of that, you're scoring in a methodical way, I guess you could say. So that was big in it itself, just with them being able to buckle down, and on defense, just being able to find that effort, find that will to stop that Timberlake offense. And, shout out, Timberlake's offense was still a threat late in the second half. I mean, Payne Pierce, he had over 300 total yards of offense and 5 total touchdowns. And then Paxton Glenn had 3 receiving touchdowns, and Brody Wallace had 2 total touchdowns. And it was all in the third and fourth quarter when they were trying to come back. And honestly, I mean, if they could, it was a high scoring game in itself, but if they could convert it on some of them fourth downs early in the second quarter and whatever, this could have been a very high scoring affair with, like 78-72 or 80-72 or something like that. So, but Medford's defense found the will to stop them late, late in the first quarter, throughout the second quarter, and then midway through the third quarter. And that's kind of really what the difference in the game was, is Medford found those stops. And I think in those high scoring games, if you can find one stop in that game, a couple stops here or there, and then you can capitalize on that with a touchdown on your ensuing drive, I think with offenses like Timberlake and that kind of just, settles the score and everything. And both of these offenses are very, high flying and talented offenses. So, I mean, one of these defenses, we're going to get a couple stops in the game, and it happened to be Medford. So, congratulations to the Cardinals. I think this is the first time since 1997 that they made it to the state title game. Let me see here. I know it was since 2007 that they made it to the semifinals. Let me see. No, 2002 was the last time Medford made it to the state championship. The last time they won it was 1999 with the win over Timberlake in the Class C state championship. So Medford's back in his glory days, and I think with this group of players that they have, with Cash Kelly at quarterback, they have most of their skill players coming back next year too, from what I read on the roster sheet on the program that we got. So I mean, they're going to be up, in the talented pool of Class C for the next couple of years. So I think they can get it done next week. I know Ryan's very good. I know they took down Tipton. They took down Tipton twice this year, which is really good. So they're going to be a tough out, as is anyone that you're facing in the Class C state championship game. Timberlake almost had Tipton last year. Came up 1 point short of sending it to overtime. But I like Medford's chances if they can get the running game going and then also get some of the, get some passing concepts as well. I know they didn't have to use it in the Timberlake game because the running game was just so effective. And so I think if they can get the passing game going while also establishing a run game like they did against Timberlake, they could possibly win this Class C state championship game. Now, their defense is going to have to play like they did against Timberlake. Get a couple stops here or there, but also after that, play complementary football and capitalize on those stops with scoring opportunities and touchdowns on the ensuing drives. If they can do that, that's a recipe for success, and that's a Class C state championship for Medford. So next week, Friday at noon at Chad Richardson Stadium on the campus of the University of Central Oklahoma in Edmond, Oklahoma, that's when Medford's taking on Ryan in the Class C state championship. So Medford fans, I know you're already going to be there, but Northwest Oklahoma sports fans, make sure you get out to some of these state championship games next week. I know Sealing and Laverne playing some, and Medford's the big one for our area. So make sure you get out there, go support your teams. Just show your support for Northwest Oklahoma football because it's pretty awesome. I was driving to Alva before the Cherokee and Sealing game that I also covered Friday afternoon. I was just thinking, man, when was the last time that the Union News and Eagle had like 5 teams, all with very capable shots of making it to the state championship game. And it's been a long time. I know last year it was just like Covington Douglas and Timberlake were our area teams. Obviously, Laverne and Sealing were still in it, but they weren't they aren't our area teams. So it was really just Covington Douglas and Timberlake for us, and then the year before that, I think it was OBA and Fairview, if I remember right. I can't remember, but shout out Medford, shout out to the Cardinals for making it the Class C state championship game, and good luck to all the teams from Northwest Oklahoma competing in the semifinals next week, and then the state championship games next Thursday and Friday at the University of Central Oklahoma. So now I'll talk about the other game that I went to Friday. That's Cherokee versus Sealing. Cherokee came on the wrong end of things. Sealing takes the big win over Cherokee on Friday, and it was really the same thing that happened in the Medford Timberlake game. Sealing established a rushing attack in the contest that could not be stopped, and that's what led them to a 50-0 win over Cherokee, which, by the way, the Wildcats have given up 0 points throughout these playoffs, and now they get to face a tough Willeka squad that has Isaiah Drake, Brian Seitz, and all those dudes up in Willeka. So, talk about here, Rush Hunt and Wyatt Tillery was just too much of the contest. I had 6 total touchdowns in the game against Cherokee. I know. Oh, let me see here. I know Rush Hunt had over 225 yards rushing in the contest. I think he had exactly that. And then Wyatt had 123 yards rushing on 15 carries, and he posted 4 touchdowns in the contest. Sealing running back Rush Hunt had 225 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns against the Chiefs. Cherokee's Trey Green was a bright spot in the contest. He had over 100 total yards, including over 50 rushing yards in the contest. Yeah, I mean, the running game for Sealing's potent when it gets going, and they have some big offensive linemen that, they just look big compared to like what Cherokee brings on the defensive line. And Cherokee's a big bunch on the defensive line and like tall and big. So, I mean, once Sealing got that running game going, it's just too much. And then obviously, Sealing's defense was phenomenal. When you have Cherokee's offense, you have Dawson Schombarker, Trigg, Tyson Ream, Tony Macias, gosh dang it, Joel Parker, um, several other dudes. I can't remember their names, but I know all their names. I just can't think of them right now. But when you have all those guys that pose skill threats and big play opportunities, Sealing's defense just stopped them from the get-go. And once, one of the things too, when Cherokee tried to get their passing game going, they just had pressure from the get-go on Dawson, which I hope Dawson Schombacher's okay. I know he got hurt late in the second quarter in that game. I don't know what he had. I don't want to speculate anything because I don't want to get it wrong. I know he did come out of the game with an injury and did not return, so I hope everything's okay with him. He's a talented quarterback, and I think next year, which this leads to my next point, shout out Cherokee for a terrific season. I think next year's their year, ladies and gentlemen. I really do. Because they got basically everyone returning next year. And Dawson's just a senior, or just going to be a junior next year, which is hard to believe. Because, he played all of his freshman year, and he felt like when he was playing, you thought he looked like a senior sometimes just with his athletic ability and his playmaking ability. And he's just going to be a junior next year. And they were 10-3, and then last year they were 6-6, but won a first-round playoff game. Sky's the limit for this Cherokee team next year, man. And I think with everyone coming back, I don't know if they should be the front runner. Obviously, I think whoever wins this championship game, we'll just have to see who's back for them and kind of the graduation. Who's back for Willika and Sealing. Obviously, they're going to lose Rush Hunt and some other skill players on that team for Sealing, but Cherokee, they got everyone back, and I just like their chances in Class B2 next year. I do like their chances to win the district against Wacomas, because I know Wacomas has several other players returning on their skill positions, and then Wyatt Smith, obviously. So yeah, I think Cherokee's going to be another threat in Class B2 next year, and I think they got to build off of this year. And I know that they will because they got a talented coach and Bryce Schombacher and all those skill players and everything. So shout out Cherokee for a terrific season. Good luck to Sealing next week as they take on Willika in the Class B2 state championship game. All right, so we're just going to go through the other two games that we covered for our area, and that was Laverne versus Palm Creek Hunter in Class B1 semifinals, and the other B2 semifinal that we covered was Willika and O'Keene. Obviously, Willika takes the 52-28 win over O'Keene. Willika's back in the state championship game. I think they're looking for 2 straight. So I don't think it's a 3-peat just yet. I think they're just looking for 2 straight. So obviously with, Willika and Laverne, that's going to be Isaiah Drake versus Keaton Cox at quarterback, and then who can stop whose skill players, basically. So we'll talk about Laverne and Palm Creek Hunter. Laverne takes the 48-0 win over Palm Creek Hunter on Friday. Keaton Cox with the 2 touchdown runs in the contest. Kay Nichols with the touchdown run. Zach Masters. That's another guy that I think could get them going in that contest. If he can get going, they're going to pose a threat to. Who did Laverne play? The Laverne plays Dewar. Willika plays Sealing. Sorry, I don't know why I thought they were playing each other, but Willika plays Sealing and Laverne plays Dewar. So obviously, I think. I talked to I was on the School Recap show, and Mark Rogers asked me out of the 2 rematches in the B classes with Laverne Dewar, and then in B2 Willika and Sealing, he asked me, who do you think has a chance to play upset? I think Laverne. What I saw from Laverne against Garber was a dynamic run game. But also, if they need to throw the ball, Keaton Cox is very capable of throwing the pass and making a play in the passing game. And they had almost 200 yards rushing, but then they had 140 yards passing in the contest against Palm Creek Hunter on Friday. So I think they're very capable in both things to take down Dewar on Friday. Obviously, they're going to stop Kilhoffer, the quarterback at Dewar, and I think if they can do that and stop their skill players, and that's what it comes down to in these state championship games. Who's going to stop who's who's going to stop who's skill players? That's kind of a tongue twister, but I think that's going to come. That's going to be the main focus in those games is who's going to stop who. And I think with Walika and Ceiling, I just think Isaiah Drake, Brian Sides is going to be too much in that contest. Like last year, Isaiah Drake might be. I kind of said that on score recap show. Just that's probably recency bias. I know Adam Diesel Horse said James Killian. Obviously, James Killian should be up there in that conversation too, with 2 state championships and then playing at Tulsa and then playing for the Chiefs as an 8-man quarterback. That's just not done ever. So I think it's between him and James Killian. I really do. So I like Laverne to take down Dewar. I really do, but I just don't see it happening. But that would be the one game where I'd be like, I'm not shocked that Laverne took the win. I think Dewar's going to still win. I think Walika's going to win against Ceiling, but don't be surprised if there's an upset in those those B classes games. So also, I wanted to give another insight for the Medford Ryan game. That's a revenge game for Medford because last year Medford got eliminated by Ryan in the quarterfinals of the playoffs at Medford. So that's another added revenge factor for Medford in this contest. Obviously, it's winning the state championship, first one since 2002, but they're also looking for revenge. And I know whenever you want to see a team that you usually don't see in the regular season, you want to see them in the playoffs, but it adds a special feeling when you get to see them in the state championship game and you get to have a shot at taking them down in the state championship game. But good luck to all the teams competing in the class state championship games in Northwest Oklahoma, and I'll be up there Friday. I'm just covering the Medford game since they're the only ones left in our viewing area. So good luck to the Cardinals and good luck to Ceiling and Laverne on hopefully catching some state championship gold balls and rings. All right, so now we're going to talk about the Garfield County Report. That's what this is, by the way. This is Garfield County Report. This is, events or teams that are playing in Garfield County that I talk about, my take and overall view on it. We're going to stick to another event. It's the Mustang Stampede at Pioneer Pleasantville High School. First basketball tournament of the year for some of these teams, or from all of these teams. All of these teams. This is their first tournament. So on the girls' side, it's going to be Medford Burlington in the first game Ringwood and Dover in the first game on Thursday, and then Medford Burlington, and then Pioneer Mulhall Orlando in the nightcap on Thursday, and then that's the girls' bracket. And the boys' bracket is going to be Dover and Blackwell JV, and then Pioneer Ringwood, and then Mulhall Orlando and Coyle in the nightcap on Thursday. So my thoughts on this, I think Dover takes the boys' side of things. On the girls' side, Medford, Dover, Pioneer are all looking to, capture this championship game. Obviously with, Medford starts with what's her name? It starts with, I think, the Killians. Yeah, the Killian girls. That's right. All the Killian girls and, getting after it on all those teams in the Mustang Stampede. And with Pioneer, it's the overall just, growth from last year with Bailey Dotson and Chloe Cruz and all of them. And so I like, all three of those teams and the girls' side of things to, make a run at those things in the Mustang Stampede girls bracket. And on the boys' side, I like what Dover brings to the table. I mean, they're 5-0 on the year. They might be 6-0 now. Let me see. Oh, wrong website. Yeah, so Dover is just picking up right where they left off from last year, where they made it to the semifinals in the state tournament. And I think they're going to be another threat for the state title this year. So let's see here. 5-0, like I said, beat Mulhall Orlando and 65-33 in their recent contest. So I like Dover. I like what they bring to the table. Obviously, the coaching, does help with Jared Reese and kind of just his philosophy and stuff. But yeah, man, 3 teams fighting for it, and the girls' side of things with Medford, Dover, and Pioneer, and then on the boys' side, it's going to be probably Dover, maybe Pioneer. I know Pioneer took down Garver in their season opener. Obviously, Drummond's in it as well, so that's another thing. I completely missed a quarterfinal game in these. So for the girls, Drummond plays Coyle, and then on the boys' side, Drummond plays Burlington. So obviously, Drummond girls could be in this conversation too of winning the Mustang Stampede championship. They got Kendra Dillingham, several other capable, skill players that can make some kind of timely baskets and can also shoot the 3-ball. I keep saying this: if they can find a 3-ball at Drummond, they're going to be effective this year. And with Drummond boys, Nathan Taylor, the Burford boys lead the way for them this year. Obviously, they're still trying to figure out. I think they've already tried. They've already kind of figured out, what their philosophy is without Colton Dillingham. Because Colton Dillingham last year was a dynamic scorer for them and did bulk of the scoring for them. So, still trying to figure that out. Nathan Taylor is going to be, a tough matchup for anyone because he's a very good post player for basically anyone in Northwest Oklahoma, and he's just on Drummond, and so that's pretty good for them. So, obviously, in the girls' side, Medford, Dover, Pioneer, Drummond, I like those girls' teams to make a run at the title in the girls' bracket, and then Dover, and then Dover and Drummond, and then Pioneer could all vie for the Mustang Stampede boys bracket championship. So, that's my overview on that Stampede Championship. It's going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, December 4th through 6th at Pioneer High School. So make sure you go out there, support your teams, and make sure you go out there and show your support for all those teams. They're all from Northwest Oklahoma, or most of them are. So awesome. So first tournament of the year, so should be a fun one. First of several tournaments for us at the Union News and Eagle. We cover this one. We'll cover most of the other tournaments, obviously, the Cherokee Strip, Skelter Conference, Wheat Capital, and then all the postseason tournaments that are in Northwest Oklahoma. So, first of several tournaments for these teams, and hopefully, good showings, good games out there at Pioneer High School, and hopefully just an overall good tournament for the Mustang Stampede at Pioneer High School. All right, so now we're going to move to our third segment, and we're going to talk about Oklahoma State. Who cares about what happened in their game, honestly? The real news for them is they hired a coach, and they made the right hire with North Texas. Eric Morris coming over from Denton over to Stillwater. So we'll talk about this. Obviously, my first take, this is the right hire. I know it was between him and the USF coach, and I think from all the reporting and everything and all the podcasts that I've listened to with people that have very reliable sources, is it kind of came down to who was going to make the decision first. And obviously Eric Morris didn't want to wait around. He wanted to make the decision right away that he was going to come to Oklahoma State, and he did. And Chad Weiberg hired him. And so I think this is the right hire for multiple reasons. It brings back an offense that made Oklahoma State basically relevant in the 2010s through early 2020s. The air raid offense can pose several threats on the defense, and it also can bring some advantages to not only the skill players, but the offensive line as well, that, has at times at Oklahoma State struggled just to get the run game going and get to pass blocking and everything. But with the air raid offense for an offensive line, it kind of just spreads things out just for, skill players to make the correct routes and make the correct plays, and obviously spreads the defense out, gets other, corners and, linebackers on skill players, but it also lightens the box for the run game for the offensive line. So the right hire in that. The other key point, let's see who follows him. Drew Mestamaker is a talented quarterback for North Texas. And one of the things that we've seen in college football over the several transfer portal years is the coach relationship does matter whenever, like, for example, Ben Arbuckle goes from Washington State to Oklahoma. Obviously, John Mateer was one of the most sought after, quarterbacks in the portal, and he chose the relationship over the money because the relationship is always the right move, I guess you could say, in the portal, because you see that in multiple cases with not just him, but then obviously we'll see it maybe with Drew Mestamaker at North Texas. With him, it's going to come down to, does Oklahoma State want to pay that much money? Because I think if several other of these if several other QBs actually take the NFL route or transfer out from these high-powered college football Power 4 programs, I think Drew Mestamaker is going to have a case to make it to an SEC school or Big Ten school if they really want him, because he is a talented quarterback and he can throw the ball and he's very efficient. So that's one of the guys that I could see possibly coming over from North Texas to Oklahoma State, but they're going to have to pay him. I mean, they're going to probably have to pay him well over $1 million, I would say. So let's see if Oklahoma State pays him. And, based off of what transpired in this hiring, I think they're fully capable of doing that. And if they want him, they're going to be fully capable of making that happen and making him the next quarterback at Oklahoma State. Obviously, with the coaches, we'll just see. I feel like their defensive coordinator for North Texas coming over. I feel like their offensive line coach is coming over. Their offensive line has played extremely well throughout this season. Could possibly be up for that national award when those standings come out and everything. But I do like what North Texas brings to the table just for coaches and the players and what they can bring to Oklahoma State next season. And then the third one, this can move them into the conference championship picture right away if everything goes right. Obviously, the big thing with them is defense. And, usually even if they have a very good offense or an average offense, it's always the defense that kind of just has some moments where it just sputters and kind of just, not the lack of effort, but just the lack of, wherewithal and what they're doing out there, and kind of just lack of skill basically in some of these games. So if they get the right players on offense, which from what's being said could very much happen from North Texas to Oklahoma State, and then they can get the defense right, this can put them in the conference championship next year. I don't know if that will happen, but it very could happen, because the skill players for North Texas that could come to Oklahoma State: Drew Mestamaker, Wyatt Young, Caleb Hawkins. By the way, Caleb Hawkins is from Shawnee. He's a freshman, had over 1,000 rushing yards this year. I think he would like to come back to Oklahoma and play in the home state. Drew Mestamaker obviously wants to prove it at a higher level. Come to Oklahoma State, and you can prove it at a higher level and win a conference championship. Which, by the way, if you win a conference championship, very much in the playoff discussion. So, I like what they did with hiring Eric Morris. It's the right hire. The right coaches and players could come over here, and this can move into the conference championship game next year. So, shout out Oklahoma State. Good job by Chad Weiberg and all the companies there that helped get that job done. And the Eric Morris is here. The Eric Morris era is here in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Next year, first game, September 5th against Tulsa. At Tulsa, that's the first game of the Eric Morris era. Expect a lot of offense and a lot of points scored for the offense for the Cowboys in that season opener. So now it's time for my rant of the week. This is a topic I picked in sports world, not really Northwest Oklahoma, and I give my rant or take on it. Mention the college football playoff. We're going to stay at the college football playoff. Texas people need to shut up. Texas Longhorn fans need to shut up. Texas Longhorn media need to shut up. They just need to shut up, because it's not happening. It's not happening. So Texas sits at, let me see. Let me get this right so I don't have, crazy shenanigans or anything. Texas is 9-3 on the season. They got the ninth win by beating a number 3 ranked Texas A&M Aggies 27-17 on Friday night, Black Friday. By the way, Texas A&M 11-1. I fully expect them to host a playoff game. They're not going to be out of the playoff. I fully expect them to be in the playoff and host a playoff game. But Texas, they're not in the playoff. Let me just give you their schedule this year. So, Texas football starts the season, obviously, with the game against Ohio State. They lose 14-7. Look sluggish on offense, especially Arch Manning. They look sluggish on offense. Defense played extremely well, which they have all season. I will give them credit. Their defense has played extremely well all season. Get 3 straight wins after that with wins over UTEP, Sam Houston, and San Jose State University. Go to Florida. Get bounced by a Florida team that was already a dumpster fire and then fired their coach later in the year. And, DJ Lagway ain't it. Just saying. They get beat by them. Get beat by Florida. So now they have 2 losses. Beat Oklahoma. Pretty good win. Really good win, actually. Overtime wins to Kentucky and Mississippi State. Kentucky is not even going to a bowl game, and Mississippi State is a below-average team in the SEC. So, just keep that in your mind. Wins, but not so great wins. Beat Vanderbilt, top 15 team at the time. Okay, pretty good win. Almost blew that lead, by the way. I think they were up big, and they almost blew it. So, that's another just, scenario in it. Get bounced by Georgia, 25-point loss to Georgia. Bounce back with a win over Arkansas and then a win over Texas A&M. So, 9-3 on the season. My biggest thing in this is, I get it. They have some ranked wins. They have 2 good ranked wins with Oklahoma and Texas A&M, and then obviously Vanderbilt's still a pretty good win since they just beat Tennessee. 3 ranked wins. You have 3 losses, though. That's what it comes down to. And I get it. I hate the stupid narrative of, if they didn't schedule Ohio State, they'd be 10-2 right now because they would have put an FCS opponent there. Yeah, but you still scheduled Ohio State and you still got your butt beat. And your offense sucked in that contest. Granted, season opener, but still sucked. Didn't suck last year when you played Michigan and won 31-12 in the second game of the season. So, I hate the agenda around, obviously, the agenda around Texas and then the overall hype factor for Notre Dame. We'll talk about Notre Dame here right now. They do not deserve to be in the college football playoff as well. They got beat by Miami, and Miami is not going to make the playoff. But if that's the case, if it's down to those 2, Miami should get in because they beat Notre Dame. But no, the hype factor for Notre Dame is, they're a really good football team on paper, and their losses were really good losses. You still lost, and I guess it doesn't matter anymore that, you schedule these games and you get beat. But it was a really, really good loss. That's like saying, here's your participation medal, kid. You get it because you participated in this 3 and under soccer game. That's what it is. That's basically what this is. You're giving Texas the benefit of the doubt because, if they didn't play Ohio State, they would have played, North Dakota State. Probably got beat by them. North Dakota State's pretty good. They would have played Maine, and they would have killed Maine. And so they would have been 10-2 with 2 ranked wins over Oklahoma and Vanderbilt. Or 3 ranked wins with wins over Oklahoma, A&M, and Vanderbilt. I do not care about that. I care about the losses. If I was in the CFP room, I'd care about the losses, which got beat by Ohio State. Our offense looked like crap. We got beat by Florida. Arch Manning looked like crap, which he's turned it around, so pretty good job. And then they got beat by, who did they get beat by? Georgia. 25-point loss to Georgia. So if they got to play again, probably get beat by Georgia again because Georgia's just that good and Texas is not this year. So I get where Sark's coming from in his post-game interview. He scheduled the games, and so if that doesn't matter, then I guess none of it matters. Well, it kind of does matter because you got beat in that game. So if you get beat, now you have 3 losses. Well, if they didn't play them, I keep going back to this because it's so dumb because it's being thrown out there by high-level media people. And we'll just talk about Oklahoma here too. I get it. Their offense is not very good. But the fact that, I don't know how you pronounce his name. Frankly, I don't care. Chris Felicia on Twitter. He works for ESPN. I think he works for Fox now. Don't care. Goes on there and says, well, are we just forgetting the fact that Oklahoma ran an illegal play against Auburn? Dude, that's from freaking early September. Why are we talking about that still? That should not be brought up. I get it. The offense is bad, but stick to that in your tweet instead of bringing up a play that happened on September 10th against Auburn or whatever date that was. Probably September 10th. I don't care. Nobody cares about that, Chris Felicia. Nobody. Just like nobody cares about Texas making it to the playoff. Nobody cares because they do not deserve to be in the playoff. I hate to break it to you, Texas fans, but they don't deserve to be in the playoff. Why is that agenda being? So here's what's going to happen for the next several years. Let's say, I don't even know who plays big games next year, but let's say Alabama plays a big-time non-conference game next year. Get beat. But then have 2 other losses against below-average opponents, but then they have a ranked win, maybe 2, whatever. Oh, well, they have 2 ranked wins, and then they got beat by Michigan or Oklahoma in the first game of the non-conference. It's just a scenario. They're not really playing. It's just a scenario. What if that was being thrown out there? Alabama would get in probably because that's just the overall hype factor of Alabama. And that should not happen. And I hope it never happens. And it should not start here with Texas. They do not deserve to be in the playoff. Honestly, they'll play in the Alamo Bowl or whatever stupid bowl that is for the SEC. Yeah, that's my rant. Texas should not be in the playoff this year at all. I don't know. I get it, Sark. You're making a case. Eli Drinkwitz did that last year with Missouri beating Notre Dame, or Missouri beating Oklahoma, which, quite frankly, when they did that, I don't know why he brought that up. We should be in the playoff after just beating a 4-win Oklahoma team at the time, or 5-win team or whatever. But, man, Texas, they just don't deserve to be in. I'm really scared that they're going to put them in at 12 or whatever. I just hope they don't. I can't wait to hear Twitter on that Sunday of the rankings being released. I just can't wait until that happens because why is Texas not in? They should be in. They only have 3 losses and they were to very good ranked quality opponents. Except for the Florida one who's looking for a coach. Well, they have a coach. I think it's Summerall. But at the time, now looking for a coach, and DJ Lagway sucks, and they just suck overall on offense and defense. But, whatever. We're just going to throw that out the door because they played a tough Ohio State opponent in the first game, and if they didn't play that game, they'd have a better record and probably in the playoff. Whatever. I don't care. Texas should not be in the playoff, and frankly, there's several other teams that are being in a playoff discussion that should not be in a playoff. Texas, Notre Dame, frankly, Miami. And, Vanderbilt, I think Vanderbilt has a better case than most of those teams. So, that's my rant of the week. Texas should not be in the playoff. this season just based off of what transpired this year in the regular season. So that'll do it for another edition of Northwest Oklahoma Sports Show. That's a long rant. Quite frankly, it needed to happen because I kept reading Twitter, and that's all was being talked about on Friday was Texas A&M gets beat by Texas. They should be in the playoff. No, that's not how that works when you already suck. Frankly, they're not really one of the 12 best teams. I can name 12 better teams than Texas right now, I think. I don't know. I don't know if they are the 12th best team. I think I can name 12 teams that are better than Texas. So, that'll do it for another edition of Northwest Oklahoma Sports Show. Obviously, get out to Pioneer Stampede or Mustang Stampede, and then all the state championship games at UCO on Thursday and Friday. So, make sure you get out there, show your support, and until next time on this another edition of the Northwest Oklahoma Sports Show, keep doing what you're doing. Northwest Oklahoma sports fans, go out and show your support for Northwest Oklahoma sports teams.